All right. You weren't wrong. This Bronny James situation is, well, it's kind of wild, right? I mean, the kid's making his NBA debut, and oh yeah, his dad just happens to be LeBron James. So much potential for, like, some real NBA history here.
It's huge. I mean, you've got a rookie trying to find his footing, prove himself, and the whole time he's got like the weight of one of the biggest names in basketball on his shoulder.
Yeah, no kidding. It's a lot to live up to. So break it down for us. His debut, what were your takeaways?
Well, if you just look at the numbers from the AP article anyway, 2 points, 3 blocks, a rebound, an assist, and he played 16 minutes, honestly.
Yeah.
That doesn't tell the whole story. Not even close. At this point, it's more about what those numbers represent, you know. And honestly, it lines up with what Coach Reddick's been saying. Remember that quote? Something like,
He can do things defensively.
yeah, he could do some things defensively that are really unique. And he can, I think, turn into a really disruptive defender.
Oh, yeah. Those defensive instincts were on full display.
Right. 3 blocks in a preseason game. As a rookie, that's not an accident. And the thing is, people kind of underestimate how important defense is becoming in the NBA. Being a disruptive defender, it's not about size anymore. It's more like anticipation, right? Timing, you know, and just like wreaking havoc. Guys like, say, Draymond Green, Bam Adebayo, they're not just blocking shots. They're shutting down plays before they even happen.
And that block he had on Alexander Walker was like he came out of nowhere. Perfect timing. So are we looking at a future Defensive Player of the Year?
Let's maybe pump the brakes on handing out awards in the preseason. It's still really early. But are those defensive flashes promising? Absolutely. That's what's got scouts paying attention. Offensively, sure, he's got room to grow, but that's any rookie.
Right. He's got to find his place, get used to the speed of the NBA.
Speaking of which, we got to talk about LeBron. Or should I say, the very noticeable lack of LeBron during Bronny's first game.
Right. The elephant in the room. Kirk Reddick definitely made a choice there, sitting both LeBron and Davis. Makes sense, though. They're coming off a long summer Olympics. Got to pace themselves right.
Yeah, for sure. But isn't it kind of funny how LeBron's likely return lines up perfectly with Bronny's birthday? Talk about a present.
I bet the NBA schedule makers are getting a kick out of that one, that's for sure. But honestly, it just adds to the whole story, doesn't it? And even though LeBron wasn't on the court, you know, he definitely makes sure everyone knew he was there. I mean, that timeout, when he pulled Bronny aside, that wasn't just your average good job, son kind of thing.
Right, you could tell it was a real window into how they operate, you know? Like we always hear about these late-night practice sessions. But to see it firsthand, even just for a moment, LeBron was totally focused, breaking down a play, and Bronny, he was locked in, absorbing every word.
It reminds me of those stories about them practicing at home. You just get the feeling those moments have been building to this.
Totally. And it kind of highlights why this next stage for Bronny is going to be so important. We've talked about potential, but the G League's probably on the horizon, right?
Right. Got to make that transition to the pros somehow. And doing it without, like, the full Lakers spotlight makes sense.
Exactly. Think of it like, I don't know, the NBA's training grounds. Top-tier competition, but also a chance to really refine those skills, get a feel for the whole pro game. For Bronny, it's like he's shown us these flashes of brilliance, right? Now it's about taking that to the next level.
So when you say next level, what are we talking about specifically? What needs work?
Well, offensively, got to expand that skill set. He's shown he can hit the jump shot, but can he do it consistently, off the dribble, beyond the arc? The G League's the place to test that, get those reps in, build that confidence.
And on the defensive end, where he's already shown so much promise.
Now, that's where things get really exciting. We've talked about his potential as that disruptive defender, but the G League's going to throw a lot at him. Different opponents, different styles. He'll have to adapt, read the game, really control the tempo. That's how you become truly elite.
So realistically, how long are we talking? A few months in the G League, a whole season maybe. When could we see him back in a Lakers jersey playing alongside LeBron?
Hard to say for sure. The G League's not about punching a time card. It's about proving you belong in the NBA. But let's just say, for argument's sake, everything goes perfectly. Bronny develops like we think he can, Lakers see an opening, and bam. We're talking about a potential father-son duo, the first in NBA history.
Yeah, okay, now we're talking. I mean, can you imagine that energy, them both on the court at the same time?
It'd be unreal. And I know everyone's thinking about the hype, but think about the on-court potential, too. You've got LeBron, still one of the best playmakers in the league, even now, drawing the defense, creating opportunities. It'd be like a dream scenario for a young player like Bronny.
So we're talking alley-oops from LeBron to Bronny. Fast breaks where they're just trading baskets. Man, I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Don't forget the defensive end. They could be a nightmare for opponents. Imagine those two locking down the court, using their combined knowledge and skills.
It's almost too much. But even if it doesn't, go exactly like that, even if the on-court chemistry isn't what we're picturing, it's still incredible. I mean, just the fact that we're even having this discussion, right? That Bronny got drafted by the Lakers, no less. That says something, right?
It really does. I mean, let's be real. There were definitely people saying he was only there because of his dad, that he didn't have the skills. But from what we've seen in college and now these glimpses in the NBA, Bronny's legit. He's earned it.
And I'm glad you said that because honestly, the pressure this kid's under, it's got to be insane to have every single thing you do analyzed compared to your dad, who's, let's face it, probably the greatest of all time.
No doubt, no doubt. And that's what makes this whole story so fascinating, right? It's not just basketball anymore. It's like bigger than that.
Yeah.
It's about making your own way, proving people wrong, dealing with pressure most of us can't even imagine.
And doing it all with the whole world watching. Yeah, and we started talking about this debut, stats, all that. But it's become something way more interesting. It's about legacy, for sure, but also about Bronny finding his own identity, pushing through all that noise, and writing his own story, even when everyone expects him to follow a script that's already written.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's why I'm excited to see what happens next. Superstar, role player, whatever. Bronny James is already doing things his own way.
And that right there, that's a story worth following. So to everyone listening, keep an eye on this kid, not just for the highlights or the chance to see history being made, but because he's showing all of us what it means to carve your own path, even with, the biggest shadow imaginable.